Hey guys, Erin here, Happily We Go, and it's Creative Flow Day. This is episode 16 already, and now we're going to do things a little bit differently this episode because this is going to be the last episode. And look at all of this stuff that I still have left in the flow. So instead of doing just 3 things, I thought I wanted to do something kind of big. And why not? Because I like to go big. So I thought I would create a mini Flowish journal with all of the bits that I have left in the journal today. So let's jump right into it. Now I've emptied out the entire Flowish journal, and what I'm going to do is cut down the center line sort of where the fold was. The one side has a flap, and I figured I could actually make another journal out of that one as well. So I'm just going to take a ruler here and an X-Acto blade and just cut a straight line down the end there, and my blade isn't super sharp, so I'm just going to go over it a couple times, not pushing too hard because obviously I don't want to cut my desk. And look it, there's still part of a pocket in there, which is going to be awesome for what we do with this little mini journal. Tiffany had glued in this pretty paper here for a pocket, and we're going to keep it a pocket. We're going to fold it in half here. And if you wanted to do this at home with just some scrapbook paper, you totally could. I just have the journal is about 7.5 high by 6 wide. So you could take a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper and just cut it down at 7.5 and then fold it over and totally follow along with me that way. So now I'm just trimming off this piece of pocket that she had added in there because it's a little bit long and we don't want it to go over the fold. And I'm just kind of scoring here and then pulling it apart with my fingers. And now I'm just going to make a little half round here so that way we have this cutie little pocket and it's easier to get things in and out of. There we go. And now I was thinking I wanted to add a little bit of color. So remember that rug that I pulled apart? Look at all of these gorgeous fabric pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the colors that are on the front of the cover and just pull out some random bits of the sari fabric that might work. And then once you have the ones picked out, what we're going to do is we have the fold in the middle. We're going to grab some Oohoo glue stick here, and we're just going to run the stick down the end. This is going to help the fabric stay in place for the crazy sewing that we're about to do. And don't worry, we're not going to get too technical. It'll be super easy. So I'm layering the fabrics here. I'm not being super careful with where I put them, but I want to off-center a couple here and there, so that way they're just all over the place. And this will come into play in a second. So I've got 4 here, and we're going to call that good. And I use the glue stick to kind of help hold it in place. And now I'm just cutting off the excess there, and we are going to do a straight stitch straight down the middle of the journal, and that is going to hold everything in place. So I'm just folding it to kind of give me an idea of where that middle is. So as you can see, I straight stitched it, and now I'm folding over. I'm just going to fold over the pieces of the fabric so you can see where the stitches were, and I folded over, stitched, and just did a couple of them. And now we have this really cool fringy binding, and it's not going to go anywhere, but it's going to give some interest and fun appeal to our journal. Now we're going to work on adding our grommets, and this is what's going to hold the elastic that keeps the paper inside of the Flowish journal. So what I'm doing is I've got my crocodile here. I'm just going to pull the fabric around off to the side, find that center piece again, and we're going to punch a hole kind of close to the end of the journal, but not too close to the end. Well, now we're going to have to futz with all of these ribbons here, or not ribbons, but the fabric. And there, I've got my hole punched. So it's not too close to the end, maybe about 1/4 inch in, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. It doesn't have to be super straight or perfect. You could, I'm just eyeballing it, but you could measure it out if you wanted to and make a dot. And there we go. Now we have both of our grommets. They're slightly off, but I'm not going to worry about it. Now I have this big pack of, I was calling them grommets, but I think they're eyelets, but it's from my scrapbooking days, and it came with my crocodile. So I have all these fun, funky colors, and I think we're going to go with a purple because it kind of matches the inside of the fabrics there. So we're going to push it through the hole. Now you're going to take that little pokey thing, and you're going to stick that on the side of the pretty grommet, or the pretty eyelet, and then squeeze, and boom, now you have your perfect little spot to hold your elastic in. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And I got a little bit of the fabric there, but I'm just going to rip it out and we're all good to go. So I have this flat, really skinny elastic, and I'm going to poke it through the hole, going from the inside to the outside. And this is going to slip around in between all of those pretty sari fabrics. It'll also add a little bit extra color here. And then we're going to run it into the other side. So see, that'll be pretty. And then just go ahead and tie it. You don't want it too tight, but you want it sort of tight so it'll hold all the papers in place. And there we go. So we got it on the outside. It's all pretty. We have the big 2 pockets on the top and then the pocket on the inside. So we can start grabbing stuff from the flow and starting to stick it into our mini travel flow. I like this size. It's going to be a great size to work with. Easy to throw in your purse when you're on the go, or maybe, you know, you're traveling and you want to take a whole bunch of collage stuff, but you don't want to take like a huge Flowish journal. So this would be the perfect little travel size. It would also be really, really great to make little mini ones, and you could swap them with friends, or, you know, like have a flow swap. That would be fun. And while I'm just stuffing away here, I'm going to remind you to pop on over to Tiffany's channel and see what she decided to do with her last Flowish project. It's been such a fun project. I've enjoyed having you guys along on the journey. I'm super excited to start some new journeys. I hope you'll come along with me on those. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure that you subscribe so you never miss a video. And also leave me a comment down below. Let me know what kind of things you'd like to see me do next in videos. Now we've got some of it stuffed here that kept falling off, but there's no way to close it. So I'm thinking, we need something to wrap around it, and boom, I have an idea. So we're going to take some of the paper that we cut off of that little pocket. It's almost like a deli paper, I think. We'll have to ask Tiffany what she used on it, but it's super cool. And I'm just taking that Oohoo glue stick. I am putting it down onto some scrap cardstock. This is probably Nina White Solar cardstock because that's what I have most on hand. So it's a little bit thicker cardstock. And then I'm going to grab 2 of my punches. This is a 1 3/8 inch punch and also a 1 inch punch. And we're going to punch it 2 times. So we're going to do one big one that is pretty blue, and then we're going to do a white one as well. And we're going to glue those together so it makes it a little bit thicker. I wanted to get some of that pretty purplish color, but I couldn't get my punch in there. So I'm just ripping off some of that white excess paper so I can get into the bits there and get the ones that I want. And now, again, we're just going to glue them together. So we're going to grab the Oohoo glue stick and glue those together that way. And then we'll do the same thing with the big one as well. Just glue them together. Kind of squeeze it. And then we're going to grab our crocodile and we're going to punch a hole in the middle. I'm just going to eyeball it again because that's how I roll. Do the same thing with the middle one. Sometimes you get those little extra bits stuck in there. You got to shake it out before you punch. And then we're going to glue them together. Then I decided I needed to do 2 more of the small ones because I want to glue it on the back to raise it up a little bit. Sometimes my brain gets going a mile a minute and I forget to keep up. So now that those are glued, we had the 2 of them. We glued them onto the back after we hole punched it, and now we are going to find out our placement here. Actually, I should have done this before I stuffed it, so I'm taking everything out so I make sure I don't hole punch through that. Find about where the middle of the journal is, and then we're going to punch a hole. Now we're going to grab some more of our eyelets here, and I'm just debating on which color I want to use. Do I want to use the orange, or maybe I want to use the red? But then I decided to go with the orange because orange and blue, hey, complementary colors, looks good together. Now, because we're going to be punching through a thicker piece, we have the orange one on the front, and then I have these larger ones. You can get these in the sewing section, so they have a smaller little hole and then a wider hole, so they fit into each other. So I'm just grabbing one of the bigger ones so it'll fit into the orange eyelet, and that's going to hold our front piece on and be a lot stronger. So we'll zoom in here a little bit. We're going to add our piece on and put the orange one on the front. So we're going to push it through to the back side. So see, it's kind of shorter there. And then we're going to take our other eyelet and we're going to push it into the orange one just a little bit, just so it kind of stays in place. And then we'll grab our crocodile and we're going to do the same thing like we did before. It's a little bit hard to get it in there and do it on camera. Turn it sideways here so you can kind of see it's lined up. We're going to squeeze it together. And there we have it. So you can see how the orange kind of comes through on the back side. But now it's not going anywhere. It's going to be on there nice and strong. So we'll add our little bits back in there. And now we have to add our threading. So I have this beautiful embroidery floss. It's a purpley color. And I'm just going to guesstimate. I have it doubled over and I've wrapped it around twice I think it was twice or maybe it was a couple times there. Anyways, wrap it around a couple times as it's doubled over and then cut the piece off. So what we're going to do is wrap it around, see, we're going to wrap it around our little front piece here and we're going to tie a square knot. So we're going to tie a knot going one way and then we're going to tie it again going the opposite way and just tie it down there nice and tight. This is going to, and then I'm going to wrap it around each side. See, I was just kind of showing you there to pull it around and then tie another knot. This is going to raise up our grommet a little bit so it's easier to wrap our floss around it. So now, as you can see, we wrap it around and then you can just, whoa, making you guys dizzy there. Wrap it around a couple times and it's going to hold everything in place. So we have this, I was going to cut it and then I thought, oh, you know what? There's so many things you could add to it. You could do beads, you could do lots of stuff. Well, seeing as I didn't have any beads sitting on my desk, I thought I'm just going to make some fun knots. So I knotted it singularly and then I knotted it together. So we have a big, almost not necessarily a monkey knot, but a big knot on the end to hold our threading together. And that is going to pretty much finish up our Mini Flowish travel journal. I'm just going to trim these elastic bits here. And while I was filming this, I thought, you know what? What better way to end the Flowish project than to take a little bit of Tiffany and a little bit of Erin and put it into this journal and give it away to one of my awesome subscribers, to you guys. So be sure to give me a comment down in the box below and enter yourself into the drawing to win this beautiful little mini journal. And I'm going to fill it with tons of stuff because that's how I roll. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Mad loves to all of you. And until next time, happy creating.